I need to know why LA is so hard to rent right now. I make $200,000 to $250,000 a year. I work my ass off. I have a 798 credit score. I just put my name in for an apartment house for $4,000 and I got denied. I wrote a cover letter. I got her phone number. We chatted. I told her my boyfriend's handy. I make more than enough money and my credit score is phenomenal. Why? I need to know. If there's anybody that could tell me why I keep getting rejected by these places where I have more than enough money to rent, I don't get it. It's so frustrating and it like breaks my heart every single time.
So I'm currently on the apartment hunt for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. And my budget used to be like under $1,500 because I was trying to save some money and pay off my student loans while like paying for rent. And it got me nowhere because now I have to move out of this apartment because it's not well maintained and I need a new apartment. What's frustrating is to then move into a new apartment that you guarantee are not going to have problems at. It's like $1,800, $2,000, which is like insane to pay for an apartment while in grad school to guarantee that I'm living in safe conditions. Like, I just don't understand like how this is possible. How are people doing this?
Americans can't afford to rent anymore, and honestly, it's turning into one of the biggest crises the country has ever seen. Everywhere you look, social media, everywhere, people are saying the same thing. I'm working full time and still can't afford a place to live. And it's true. Rent in America has gone from high to ridiculous to straight up impossible. People used to worry about, saving for a house. Now they're just trying to survive the next lease renewal. Hi guys, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. It's so good to have you. Thank you so much for clicking. When you saw this video, let's go check these videos, then we'll come back with more commentary. Credit to all creators on this video.
Americans can't even afford to pay their rent unless they work 20,000 hours a week. And this is not, unless you're a professional person, you're a lawyer or a doctor or whatever you have your degree in. If you're a normal average American and you're in the working age, it's almost impossible to pay your rent. I met this man this morning. Yeah, I was talking to him. I delivered his breakfast to him. I'm one of those Americans. I delivered his breakfast to him in an Uber, on an Uber delivery, and we chit-chatted for a minute. And the whole time I'm chit-chatting, I'm nervous because I need to be getting back out there so I can pay my rent. Anyway, he was telling me that he actually had 2 jobs, full-time jobs, in his house. It wasn't that fabulous. It was just a mid-range house here in Florida. He said he was ordering Uber Eats because he needed to eat. And there was no food in the house and he was splurging. His wife was working. He was starving and he had to get some food in his stomach. So he did an Uber Eat. You know what he did? He did an Uber. He got a notification from Uber Eats saying 50% off your first order. So he took advantage of it. And he's pretty sad, huh? Anyway, but it's true. This is what's going on. Anyway, he has a college degree. He didn't get anywhere with that. No, he didn't get anywhere. He got a real estate license. He said that was a joke. He invested 6 months of his life. He sold one house and he said he had to give up because there were just too many realtors out there. Everybody thought they were going to make a lot of money selling houses and he couldn't hold off anymore. So he's out there and he's bartending at night. He's mowing lawns. He's doing all kinds of side work. His wife works full time. He's got a couple kids to feed. They're worried about their rent. Do they pay their rent? Do they get their utilities turned off? What are they doing? He says their credit cards are all maxed out. He says neither of them are gamblers or take drugs or do anything like that. They just can't afford to live in today's world, So I don't know what's going on. How can we get out of this mess? How?
772,000. That's not a typo. That's how many folks are currently living on the streets in the so-called richest country in the world. And y'all want us to believe this is just the system working? Nah, the system is broken, and broke again. Let's break it down. Homelessness just hit a record high in the U.S. That's an 18% spike from last year alone. And family homelessness up 39%. Families, not just individuals. Moms, dads, kids sleeping in cars, on benches, under bridges. What's causing it? Sky high rent, stagnant wages. Then you got post-COVID economic chokeholds. and a government that got no problem spending billions overseas, but freezes up when it's time to house its own people. And don't get it twisted. This ain't just a bad economy issue. This is a policy failure. No cap. There are more empty homes in America than homeless people. Let that sink in. But instead of tackling housing reform or raising the minimum wage, we're watching politicians bicker like it's a Twitter beef while folks are freezing in tents. This ain't the American dream. This is an American eviction notice. And the wildest part, the media will run this headline and keep it pushing. No national emergency, no federal task force, just another day in the land of get yours or die trying. We need rent control, mental health support, jobs that pay a livable wage, and leaders who actually give a damn. Because homelessness isn't a crime, but letting this continue should be. Follow your boy Crypto Black. See you next time.
Landlords are now raising rent like it's a competition. $200 increase here, $500 increase there. Some people are even getting, hit with 1,000 jumps. And it doesn't matter if the building is old, breaking down, unsafe, or in the middle of nowhere. Rent is going up like clockwork. It's like landlords woke up one day and decided, let's see how far we can push people before they break. And the sad part, folks are breaking. You've got families living in motels because rent is cheaper weekly, than signing a lease. You've got people living in their cars while still going to work every day. You've got 2, 3, sometimes 4 adults sharing one apartment just to split the cost. Some renters are spending 50%, 60%, or even 70% of their income just on rent. That's not living, that's surviving. The American dream has turned into a pay wall. Okay, what makes people even more frustrated is the fact, the math wages in America haven't gone up, but rent sure has. Okay, a lot of people has decided that they are tired, right? They haven't had a raise in years. Yet their landlord wants an extra $400 a month, and landlord will say it's just the market. But let's be real.
What's up, America? Being poor in America. So I want to talk about how difficult it is to get out of poverty here in the United States, specifically if you're already homeless. So let's start with a person that's homeless, because you'll find out quickly it's impossible to get out of homelessness almost, as long as you're living in America. So when you're homeless, you have no place to live, you can't wash your clothes, you have no internet, generally no phone, and of course no means of conveyance like a car or any type of vehicle. And generally, if you're homeless, your credit score is in the shitter. So the first thing you'll want to do when you're getting out of homelessness, of course, is find a job and a place to live. But of course, you can't find a place to live without a job, right? Because every place in America that you rent has to have 3 times the income. So if it's $1,500 a month, you have to make $4,500 a month to live there. So generally, if you're going to be living in an apartment anywhere, you're going to have to pony up $2,000 to $3,000 and have a pretty decent job as well. On top of that, you're going to have a phone number for someone to call you back. That could be as little as $20 a month or as much as a couple hundred, depending on who you go through. Of course, you got to have good credit. That's right, the old credit score boogeyman has come out to get you once again. Of course, if you've ever been charged with anything, you're not going to be living anywhere. Don't forget about $600 or $800 you need for clothing, shoes. Probably need a car too if you live somewhere outside of a major American city like New York, Chicago, or LA, because there's no public transport, you see. And so I would estimate to get out of homelessness, you would need anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 in cash, plus a good credit score, something that homeless people will never find. And then of course the rest of it is just basically you floating along, trying not to sink into poverty, working constantly yet never gaining either, right? So you're sitting there barely above water and you can feed your family and you can pay for everything, but you have no money left over for vacation, no money left over for any other expenses except the basic necessities. That's most of America, right? So in order to get out of poverty, you'd have to triple your income immediately or have the super wealthy help you. And since that'll never happen, we're stuck in this daily grind where if we stop, we'll be homeless. And if we get into homelessness, you can't get out of it. A little cushion financially would be very helpful, but that's not conducive to the government, because if they give you a cushion, you might experience freedom, and you're not allowed to do that here. Because you see, here in America, money buys freedom. That's unfortunate but true.
What's the point of working hard if you still can't afford a roof over your head? Let's be real. The market did this, greed actually did. And this crisis isn't just hitting big cities anymore, like New York or Los Angeles. Even small towns and rural areas are getting smacked with crazy rent prices. Places that used to be affordable are now just as expensive as major cities. People who moved away from expensive states for cheaper living are, realizing those cheap states don't exist anymore. The whole country changed. Some seniors in fixed incomes, are being pushed out. Single parents can't keep up. Young people are staying with family longer because they can't even afford studio apartments. Some folks work 2 jobs and still have nothing left after rent. And if you miss one payment, some landlord don't care about your situation. They will evict you and have a new tenant line up, by the weekend. The worst part is that homelessness is rising and you don't have to, look homeless to be homeless anymore. A lot of people are invisible homeless, sleeping in couch hopping, showering at gyms, working normal jobs while having normal and, stable life. This isn't the America people grew up believing in. People are frustrated and exhausted, because the system feels like it's designed to squeeze every dollar out of them. They're asking, how is rent this high when wages haven't moved? How is a rundown apartment 2,000 a month? How does the government allow this? And honestly, these are, valid questions. But here's the real truth. People don't want to admit America has a housing crisis because the people in charge, profit from the crisis. Real estate companies, corporate landlords, hedge funds, they are buying up entire neighborhoods and jacking up rent. They are turning basic, shelter into an investment game, and regular people are stuck paying the prices. Americans can't afford rent anymore because everything, land, housing, property, has turned into a business model, and you can't fix a problem when the people benefiting from it refuse to even stop. So now the conversation has changed. It's not about getting ahead. It's not about, buying a house. It's not even about living comfortable. People are just begging for affordable places to live. They are just so frustrated for regulation, rent control, anything that stops landlord from raising prices like a lottery. Now people are asking, where do we go from here? Because at this point, people don't want luxury. They just want stability. Americans are tired. They are stressed. And of course, they are fed up with working their entire life just to hand over most of their paycheck to a landlord who proves nothing extra. Rent is out of control. People can't keep up. And the sad part is everyone saw this coming. But it's not normal. It's not sustainable, and it's definitely, not fair. Americans can't rent anymore, and they are not staying quiet about it. So many people are talking about it. Until something changes, people will keep falling into homelessness, moving back home or living paycheck to paycheck with no space to breathe, and the country will keep pretending it's normal. Anyway, guys, I'd love to hear your own take as well. Okay, let's have that conversation. What's the homelessness situation in your area? Has rent increased so badly this year? Okay, let's have that conversation. Please do what to like and subscribe, and don't forget to give the video a thumbs up so that more people can see it. Credit to original creators of this video, and see you all on my next. Bye, guys.